Closet, a Todd Mills mystery. Book 1. Author R.D. Zimmerman. Publisher Scribble Pub. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Narrator Eric Aust. Chapter 32. It could mean nothing. It could mean everything. As Todd drove through the bustling uptown district, up Hennepin Avenue, past the Guthrie Theater, and the Walker Art Center, and the sprawling sculpture gardens, his insides twisted into a knot of confusion. Michael, Jeff, and Rawlings, a.k.a. Corky, had been childhood chums, and they'd all turned out to be gay, which in a very subtle way didn't surprise Todd at all. He'd had a best friend, Eric, also the son of Polish immigrants. They'd gone all through grade school and the first couple of years of high school together, until Eric's dad was transferred and the family had moved. Where was it? Detroit. Up to that time, Eric and Todd had been inseparable, exploring the back alleys of Chicago's North Side, busting bottles beneath the L, hanging around Wrigley Field, searching the sidewalks for a drop ticket, and in fact, once finding one, then finding about which one of them was going to get in. They never talked about anything personal, as boys seldom did, and virtually the only talk of sex was when they'd stolen one of Eric's father's Playboy magazines and stared at the huge breast of a smiling blonde woman. Wow! Fuck! Look at those boobs! Huge! They'd seemed like typical average boys, which they were. Yet with no coaching or even acknowledgement from each other, they'd both turned out different in one fundamental way. 4 or 5 years ago, Todd had heard from another old classmate that Eric had died of AIDS in San Francisco. Todd realized that part of their childhood friendship, perhaps the glue that had mysteriously bound them in companionship, had been their unrecognized and unrealized homosexuality. In view of the recent murders, though, Michael's trio of childhood chums was too much of a coincidence. This was all connected. But what did it mean? Instinctively, Todd understood there was something of great significance here. The very fact that neither Jeff nor Rawlings had mentioned Rawlings' connection meant something. And why in the hell had Michael ever spoken of Steve Rawlings? One of his closest childhood buddies? A guy who was not only on the police force, but gay? What had happened between the two of them? What kind of rift had occurred? After all, Jeff and Michael had stayed good friends. Michael talked to him frequently and saw him regularly down at the Gay Times. So had Michael and Rawlings merely grown apart? No. If that had been the case, Michael probably would have mentioned Rawlings sometime, even just in passing, and after Michael's death, Rawlings would surely have mentioned the connection. Obviously, something had happened to cause a bitter end of friendship, to make both Michael and Rawlings never want to utter the other's name. Todd wanted an immediate answer. He continued up Hennepin, past the formidable stone basilica, and finally reached 7th Street, where he turned left. He parked in a lot and strode quickly back across Hennepin, through the Mall of City Center, across Nicollet, and around the corner. Breaking into a jog, Todd checked his watch. There was just enough time this afternoon. A block later, he pushed through some heavy old doors and entered a 2-story wood-paneled hall. Todd glanced to his right, saw a handful of people at their desks, looked to the left, saw a row of tellers. Jeff was at the third window, helping an older man with a transaction. Rushing into line behind 2 people, Todd stood there trying to seem as calm as possible, his mind on fire with questions and anger. It was only a matter of moments. There was just one person left before Todd, and a woman, and Todd abruptly cut in front of her when Jeff became available. "Excuse me," he said, barging ahead of her. "That teller down there screwed up my account. I've got to talk with him. This is going to cost me $100. But trust me, lady, you don't want that guy touching your money, unless, of course, you want to risk losing it." "Oh, heavens, no." Todd moved across the deep red carpet, blotting a few drops of perspiration from his brow. Jeff, who was sorting some documents, didn't even look up. "Hello, Jeff," said Todd, his voice hushed as he leaned on the counter with both hands. Jeff, who assumed his customer had merely read his name tag, raised his head and, with a bright smile, replied, "Hi, and how?" When he saw Todd, his voice trailed quickly off. "Oh, it's you." "Hi, Todd. What the hell are you doing here?" He looked at him nervously. "Let me guess. You want to start doing drag and you've come to moi for some beauty tips?" "No." "You want me to teach you how to pick up guys?" "No." Then heavens, you must have an account here. I had no idea. How nice. No, I don't. Oh, well. Well then, would you like one? You can step right over there to open an account. You see those nice people at the desks? Unlike me, one of the personal bankers would be more than glad to help you. I have to talk to you, Jeff. He looked nervously from side to side. Can't you see that this isn't a coffee house, darling? Some of us have to work, you know? The bank's still open. Isn't that kind of obvious? When are you done? I have lots of catching up to do once the bank closes. I'll wait. No, please don't bother. I'll be here for hours, said Jeff, glancing around. Today really isn't good. I have to work late, and then I have a show tonight. I have to rehearse. After all, I don't want to look like a fool. Dressing poorly is one thing. Screwing up the lip sync is another matter altogether. One on which I pride myself deeply. I'm working on a new Barbara Streisand number. Todd leaned forward and blurted, There were 3 boys. They all grew up in Linden Hills. Jeff ran his hand around his heavy throat. Todd, doll, are you okay? I know you've been under a lot of stress. Their names were Michael, Jeff, and Corky. You don't look too good, Todd. Maybe you should sit down. I heard the news on my break. Another murder. It's horrible, isn't it? So creepy. I'm sure the police have been asking you all sorts of nasty questions. Listen to me, you old cha-cha queen. Quit fucking with me. You know all about Corky. I want the details. Really? You big old brute. I don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about, he said nervously. Now, please, Todd, enough of this chit-chat. I have to get back to work. Look over there. See, there are people in line waiting to do their banking. Some want to make deposits. Some want to cash checks. And some... Corky was a nickname for Steve Jr. Todd, do I need to call the guard over here? As in Steve Rawlings Jr.? As in the very same detective Steve Rawlings assigned to Michael's murder? You know, all I have to do is raise my hands and scream in my sissiest voice, Help me, robber! And you're dead meat, pal. Jeff glared at him, lowered his voice as deep as it would go. Get out of here, you bitch, before I make that big old butch guard over there shoot you full of holes. Go ahead. Then you'll be responsible for 2 murders. Mine and Michael's. What are you implying? Jeff flushed red and started sorting through some papers. No, I'm not going to talk to you. Not another word. Get out of here. You flicker. Now leave, or I'll really call security. I have a buzzer under my desk here. All I have to do is tap it with my knee, and security will be all over you. You'll get thrown in a cop car and hauled away by the police. Or maybe you'd like that. I bet you like body searches. Oh, and a night in prison with the guys. Wouldn't that be a real treat for a closet queen like you? Just tell me one thing, you fat piece of shit, demanded Todd. Were Michael and Rawlings lovers? Oh, heavens, he muttered, shaking his head with disgust. Who knows why God made you gay, because you certainly sound like the straightest, narrowest suburban jerk I've seen in a long time. Oh, were they? Girl, you are such a bitch. Jeff leaned forward again. All right, I'll tell you this much. Sure, they did it, Michael and Corky. They had sex. They sucked. They fucked. I don't know. They got naked together. That's all I know. He grinned. There. Is that what you want to know? Is that what you came here for? To satisfy your curious, jealous little mind? Now go on, get out of here. I don't have time for closet cases like you. When? What do you mean, when? When did they have sex? Todd felt the blood rushing to his face. Answer me, damn it. You are too fucking ridiculous, Toad. I'm not leaving until you tell me. What do you want? Times a day? How long it took before they came? Who was top and who was bottom? And maybe what phase the moon was in. You're nuts. You know what? Do I look like a fucking social secretary or something? I mean, was it last week? Last month? Last year? Oh, honey, he laughed. Is that all you're concerned about? Well, let me tell you, it was long before you. Of all the answers, this was the only one that took him by surprise. And Todd replied, What? They were both pencils or pistols. I don't know what you call them these days, but back then they were horny little dudes. I mean, Todd, darling, they were 19, 20 at most. It was the first time either of them had sex of any kind. Wink, wink. What are you? So you see, it's all history. You don't have anything to worry your jealous old head about. Jeff cocked his head, stared at him out of the corner of his eyes, and taunted. Of course. They say you fall hardest the first time, which is also to say, Corky never ever got over Michael. For that matter, I don't think Michael ever really got over Corky. But, oh lordy, enough. I've got work to do. Now get out of here, you pathetic old troll. Michael, bless his soul, is dead, and there's nothing any of us can do to bring him back. So get out of here before I have you arrested for bothering the shit out of this old gal. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.